My family swore the party was off, but when I arrived, they were celebrating without me, so I unleashed a surprise that left them speechless. What I uncovered next will shock you. My name is Claire Donovan, and at 32, I thought I was the unbreakable spine of my family, the one who held us together through every storm. I was wrong, dead wrong. The night I drove from San Francisco to Palo Alto, clutching a care package for my supposedly sick sister, I didn't just uncover a lie. It was a betrayal so sharp it sliced through everything I believed about love, loyalty, and family. I'm a whistleblower at Nexus Tech, the kind of person who stares down billion-dollar fraud and doesn't blink. But nothing in my career prepared me for the moment I walked into my childhood home and found a celebration I wasn't invited to. The truth? My family had built a secret life without me, and someone out there wanted me silenced, permanently. Where are you reading from today? Drop your location in the comments, hit that like button, and buckle up for a story that'll make your family drama feel like a sitcom. The Bay Area's golden haze bathed Highway 11 as I floored my Tesla, the care package, homemade chicken noodle soup, artisanal chamomile tea, and organic crackers, sloshing in a cooler on the passenger seat. It was Saturday afternoon, and I was supposed to be in a boardroom prepping for a deposition against Nexus Tech, the tech conglomerate I'd exposed for siphoning user data to shady offshore accounts. My testimony had made headlines. Stanford grad blows whistle on tech giant's billion-dollar scam. It also made me enemies. Executives who'd lost their corner offices, investors who'd lost millions, and a shadowy fixer who'd sent me cryptic emails promising consequences. But today wasn't about corporate warfare. It was about family. Or so I thought. 3 days ago, my mom, Ellen, called, her voice wobbling like a bad Zoom connection. "Claire, sweetheart, Lila's come down with something awful. Fever, chills, the works. We're canceling her engagement party. No need to come down." Lila, my 26-year-old sister, was set to marry Tom, a sweet but unassuming graphic novelist. I'd spent weeks helping plan the party, even wiring $2,000 0 cents for the caterer, because Lila's freelance design gigs barely covered her rent. I offered to drive down anyway, to help nurse Lila, but Mom shut me down. "We've got it covered, honey. Stay in the city. Work's keeping you busy, right?" Her tone had a hitch, a micro pause I'd trained myself to catch as a compliance officer. Lies have a rhythm, and Mom's words didn't sync. I should have known something was off. I'm the one who spots discrepancies in million-line spreadsheets, who sniffed out Nexus Tech's fraud when their C-suite swore it was just creative accounting. But family? That was my blind spot. Growing up in Palo Alto, our modern ranch house on Oak Street was a revolving door of cousins, aunts, and neighbors, all drawn by Mom's lemon tarts and Dad's over-the-top barbecues. Every milestone, my straight A's, Lila's art shows, Sophie's soccer goals, Ethan's science fairs, sparked a backyard bash under string lights. As the eldest, I was the trailblazer, valedictorian at Palo Alto High, Stanford grad with honors, and now the whistleblower who'd taken down a tech titan. My siblings, though, they struggled in my shadow. Lila, with her bohemian vibe and art degree, clashed with Dad's get-a-real-job lectures. Sophie, 24, bounced between majors trying to carve her own path. Ethan, 20, was interning in London, dodging the family spotlight entirely. I saw myself as their guide, not their rival. But maybe I'd missed the signs. The care package was my peace offering, a nod to childhood sick days when I'd play nurse for my siblings while Mom and Dad worked. I'd spent $80, 0 cents at Whole Foods on organic chicken, fresh thyme, and hand-rolled egg noodles, only the best for Lila. The drive from San Francisco usually calmed me, the tech world's chaos fading as I transitioned from Claire Donovan corporate crusader to just Claire, the big sister my family called C, but today unease gnawed at me. I tried Mom's cell, voicemail Dad's, same, Sophie's, straight to do not disturb. Only Ethan, across the Atlantic, replied to my text, "Hope Lila's better soon." His casual tone didn't soothe the knot in my stomach. Then it happened. 30 minutes from Palo Alto, a black SUV roared up behind me, its tinted windows swallowing the sunlight. My pulse spiked. Nexus Tech's ex-CEO, Victor Lang, had sent me a handwritten note after my testimony. "You'll regret this, Donovan." I'd brushed it off as posturing, but now the SUV swerved closer, tailgating me at 80 miles per hour. I gripped the wheel, my Tesla's autopilot disengaged. The SUV nudged my bumper, a deliberate jolt that sent my cooler sliding. A crack split the air. A gunshot. My side mirror exploded, glass sprang across the hood. Shit! I swerved, heart hammering, and floored it, weaving through traffic. Horns blared as I dialed 911, my voice steadied despite the adrenaline. "I'm on 101, mile marker 392. Black SUV, no plates, just shot at me." The dispatcher's calm instructions faded as the SUV matched my speed, then peeled off into a side road, just as sirens wailed in the distance. I pulled into a gas station, hands shaking, and filed a report with a highway patrol officer who looked more annoyed than alarmed. "Probably road rage," he said. But I knew better. This was Nexus Tech's warning shot. I should have turned back to San Francisco, locked my doors, and called my lawyer, but Lila's illness tugged at me. I straightened the cooler, wiped the sweat from my palms, and kept driving. Palo Alto's tree-lined streets welcomed me like an old friend, but the sight on Oak Street stopped me cold. Cars packed both sides. Uncle Mark's Bentley, Aunt Laura's Prius, Cousin Mia's red Jeep with its Coexist sticker, rose gold and ivory balloons, Lila's colors danced by the mailbox. Music pulsed from our house, not the somber quiet of a sickbed, but the electric buzz of a party. My stomach dropped. I parked a block away, the only spot left, and sat frozen, the cooler's weight mocking me. Through the bay window I saw Lila, radiant in a silk dress, clinking glasses with Tom. Mama arranged charcuterie boards. Dad poured Napa Valley peanuts. This wasn't a canceled party. It was a secret one, and I wasn't invited. I grabbed the cooler and marched to the door, my key turning with a click that felt like a gunshot in my chest. The entryway was a shrine to Lila, photo collages of her and Tom, a banner reading, "Congrats, Lila and Tom," in elegant cursive. The living room buzzed. 30 relatives and friends laughing, toasting, oblivious to the lie. Lila stood center stage, accepting a gift from Grandma Rose. Mom spotted me first, her face paling. "Claire?" Her voice was too bright, like a cracked glass about to shatter. Conversations died, eyes turned. Lila froze, her smile faltering. Dad's wine bottle hovered mid-pour. Cousin Mia's champagne flute stopped halfway to her lips. "I brought soup," I said, holding up the cooler, my voice sharp enough to cut through the silence. "For Lila's flu." The room held its breath. Mom stepped forward, arms outstretched. "Oh, honey, Lila recovered so fast, we decided to go ahead with the party. I tried calling, but it went to voicemail." Her lie was flimsy, transparent as cellophane. The decorations, custom banners, catered spreads, a rose gold cake with Lila and Tom Forever in frosting. Took days to plan, not hours. My phone showed no missed calls. "Really?" I said, my whistleblower smile in place, the one I used in depositions to disarm liars. "How lucky everyone could make it on such short notice," Aunt Laura whispered to Uncle Mark. "I told you she'd find out." The words hit like a second gunshot. This wasn't a mix-up. They'd planned this. They didn't want me here. I excused myself to the guest bathroom, locking the door to steady my breathing. My reflection in the mirror was composed, but my eyes betrayed the hurt. My phone buzzed. A Nexus Tech security alert. Someone had hacked my San Francisco apartment's cameras. Live footage showed a masked figure rifling through my desk, where I kept encrypted drives with whistleblower evidence. My heart raced. I triggered the alarm remotely, watching the figure flee, but the violation lingered. Nexus Tech wasn't just tailing me. They were invading my life, and now my family had invaded my trust. Curiosity and pain drove me to open Instagram. Sophie's stories showed a family dinner at the Rusty Fork last month, captioned Donovan Fam Night. I wasn't there. Dad's Facebook posted about a Tahoe ski trip in January, news to me. Then a text from Lila meant for someone else. Is Claire still in there? What do we do? My hands trembled as I grabbed Mom's phone, left charging on the counter, and entered her passcode. 1989, the year she and Dad married. There it was. A group chat labeled Donovan Clan. Everyone but me. Messages stretched back months. Claire's too busy with her big case. Let's do Christmas without her. Lila wants one day without Claire's intensity. Tell her the party's off. Mom's words. It's easier this way. She's always so much. The bathroom felt like a shrinking cage. I sank to the floor, clutching Mom's phone, each message a fresh wound. They hadn't just excluded me from a party. They'd built a shadow family, a life where I didn't belong. My whistleblower instincts kicked in, analyzing patterns. But this wasn't a corporate conspiracy. This was personal. Mom knocked softly. Claire, are you okay? Her voice, the one that sang me lullabies, now carried the weight of deception. I opened the door, her phone in my hand, the chat open. Her face crumpled. You weren't supposed to see that. Why? I asked, my voice steady despite the earthquake inside. Why lie to keep me away? She guided me to her bedroom, away from the party's hum. Lila wanted one celebration without you dominating it, she said, hands twisting. You're so intense, Claire. Your whistleblower fame, your questions about Lila's career, your advice, it feels like judgment. Dad entered, his broad shoulders slouched. I wanted to tell you, he said, but Lila deserved her moment. Lila appeared, eyes red. I just wanted one day where I wasn't Claire's, little sister, always coming up short. Their words hit like shrapnel. I'd spent years thinking I was lifting them up, sharing my Stanford contacts, offering career tips. Instead, I'd been casting a shadow. Dad admitted he felt outshone since I started correcting his history facts in high school. Sophie confessed she'd switched majors 3 times to avoid my path. You're the sun, Lila said, voice breaking. We're just planets orbiting at a distance, trying not to get burned. My phone rang. My lawyer, Rachel. Nexus Tech just filed a $50 million 0-cents defamation suit against you, she said. They're claiming your testimony slandered their brand. Retract or they'll freeze your accounts. The timing was too perfect. Someone had tipped them off knowing I was distracted by family drama. Was it one of you? I asked, voice low. They shook their heads, but doubt lingered. I excused myself, needing air, and stepped onto the porch. A text from an unknown number flashed. A photo of me entering the house, captioned, "Back off or you're next." I scanned the street, spotting a hooded figure in a parked car. I sprinted to my Tesla, locking it as he banged on the window, then vanished into the dusk. I drove to Shoreline Park, where we'd had countless family picnics. The moonlit lake mocked my turmoil. My phone buzzed with texts from Mom, Dad, Sophie, none from Lila. Ethan called from London. I had no idea they excluded you, he said. But Claire, you're... A lot. Teachers still compare me to you. It's exhausting. I confessed my hurt. My family, my anchor had cut me out. They think I'm too intense, I said, tears falling. Maybe they're right, he replied gently. But lying was wrong. I checked into a Marriott, too raw to drive back to San Francisco. Ava, my crisis PR friend, listened as I vented. You're a force, Claire, she said. But maybe you steamroll people without realizing. She was right. I'd reorganized her wedding seating chart last year, thinking I was helping. Now I saw it. My need to fix, to optimize, had pushed my family away. I spent the night on my laptop, researching family dynamics and whistleblower psychology. By dawn, I had a plan. Not revenge, but redemption. I'd force my family to face the truth, just like I'd forced Nexus Tech to face theirs. Art supplies, printed exercises, a structured intervention. This was my counterstrike. As I loaded my car with supplies, I noticed the back window smashed, the cooler gone. A note on the seat read, "Stop digging or we dig your grave." Nexus Tech's operatives were closing in, and my family's betrayal had left me exposed. I reported it to the police, but the real battle was at home. I drove to Oak Street, my heart a mix of resolve and dread. This wasn't just about a party. It was about who we were, and who we could become if we dared to be on it. I stood on the porch of my childhood home in Palo Alto, the morning sun casting long shadows across the manicured lawn, my arms weighed down by grocery bags, and a heart heavy with betrayal. I'd driven here from a Marriott hotel where I'd spent a sleepless night, plotting not revenge but redemption. My name is Claire Donovan, a 32-year-old whistleblower who'd taken down Nexus Tech's billion-dollar data fraud, earning me fame, enemies, and apparently a family that preferred me absent. Yesterday I'd crashed my sister Lila's engagement party, one I was told was canceled because of her flu. The truth? They'd lied to keep me away. Tired of my intensity, my need to fix everything, my shadow that, Lila's words still burned, made them feel like planets orbiting my sun. Now, with a car chase, a hacked apartment, and a death threat behind me, I was here to force my family to face the truth. But as I rang the doorbell instead of using my key, a small act of acknowledging my uncertain place in this home, I didn't know that Nexus Tech's operatives were circling closer, and that one of my family's secrets would nearly cost us everything. Where are you reading from? Drop your location below, hit like and subscribe for a story that'll make you question who you trust most. The door swung open, and Mom's face, etched with sleepless worry, greeted me. Claire? She breathed, reaching for a hug. I sidestepped, shifting my bags, eggs, bacon, fresh fruit, coffee, and a stack of art supplies for the intervention I'd planned. I need to put these in the kitchen, I said, my voice neutral but firm. Her arms dropped, and she stepped aside, the weight of yesterday's lie hanging between us. The house was eerily quiet, the rose gold balloons and banners from Lila's secret party gone, replaced by a vase of congratulatory lilies that seemed to mock my exclusion. From the kitchen I heard muted voices, Dad, Lila, Sophie, halting mid-sentence as I entered. Their eyes, a mix of guilt and apprehension, tracked me like I was a bomb about to detonate. Ethan, my brother in London, was the only one absent, but his call last night had confirmed he'd been looped into their secret chats, unaware they were excluding me deliberately. Good morning, I said, setting the bags on the counter, my tone as steady as a courtroom deposition. I brought breakfast. Dad, nursing a cold coffee, frowned. Lila, perched on a stool, her eyes red and puffy, avoided my gaze. Sophie leaned against the fridge, arms crossed like a shield. They'd expected a screaming match or a tearful exit, not groceries and calm. Claire, we need to talk about yesterday. Dad started, his voice gruff. We will, I replied, unpacking bacon and cracking eggs into a bowl. But first we eat, then we do something important. Sophie raised an eyebrow, picking up a purple marker from my pile of supplies. What's this, arts and crafts? I met her gaze. Not exactly. It's a chance to fix what's broken, or admit we can't. As we cooked, the familiar rhythm of chopping fruit and frying bacon offered a temporary truce, but the tension was a live wire. My phone buzzed in my pocket and I ignored it, knowing it could be another threat. Last night, a text from an unknown number, a photo of me entering the house, captioned, "Back off or you're next," had sent me fleeing from a hooded figure banging on my car window. Nexus Tech's operatives were tightening their grip, and the smashed window of my Tesla this morning, with a note threatening to dig my grave, confirmed they weren't bluffing. But today wasn't about them. It was about the family who'd built a shadow life without me, who'd lied to keep me from Lila's moment. I'd spent the night researching family dynamics, eldest child syndrome, conflict avoidance, the psychology of exclusion, and crafted a plan to force honesty. Index cards, communication worksheets, art exercises. These were my weapons, not anger. We sat around the kitchen table, plates piled with food, but no one ate with enthusiasm. I placed a stack of colored index cards in the center. We start simple, I said, my voice cutting through the silence. Each of us writes 3 things. Something you appreciate about each family member, something that frustrates you, and something you've never told them but think they should know. Complete honesty. No deflections. Can you do that? Dad shifted, his jaw tight. Lila stared at her plate, pushing eggs around. Sophie nodded slowly, and Mom's eyes glistened. After a long pause, Dad said, "Yes, we can do that." One by one they agreed, though the air felt like it could ignite. As we wrote, the kitchen was silent except for the scratch of pens. My hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from the weight of what we were about to uncover. I'd always seen myself as the family's anchor, the one who solved problems, who blazed trails. Valedictorian, Stanford grad, whistleblower hero. I thought my achievements lifted us all, but Lila's drawing from yesterday, me as a sun burning her into shadow, had cracked that illusion. My phone buzzed again, and this time I glanced at it, a news alert. Whistleblower's family drama, Claire Donovan excluded from sister's engagement. A tabloid had gotten hold of the story, quoting an anonymous family friend who tied my exclusion to my Nexus Tech case, painting me as a domineering outcast. My stomach lurched. Someone close had betrayed me again, and the timing, mid-intervention, felt like a coordinated attack. I silenced the phone, forcing focus. Nexus Tech could wait. My family couldn't. We started with a family mapping exercise. Draw how you see our family structure, I instructed. Who holds power? Who supports whom? How do we communicate? For 10 minutes we worked in silence, markers squeaking against paper. My diagram showed me reaching out with lines labeled help, advice, support, but a gap separated me from the family circle. Mom drew herself as the hub, thick lines connecting her to everyone, but thin ones between us siblings. Dad's was a hierarchy, him and Mom at the top, me slightly below, my siblings smaller. Sophie's placed her and Lila close, Ethan floating, and me on a pedestal, distant. Lila's, though, hit hardest. Me as a towering skyscraper, its shadows swallowing their tiny homes, their faces half hidden. "Is that how you see me?" I asked Lila, my voice soft but raw. She nodded, eyes down. "You're so big, Claire. Your whistleblower fame, your Stanford degree, your everything. It's like we're invisible unless we measure up." Her words cut deeper than the gunshot on 101. I'd never meant to overshadow them, but the evidence was undeniable. We moved to the appreciation cards, A brief respite, Dad wrote. He admired my courage in taking on Nexus Tech. Sophie valued my loyalty. How I'd drop everything for family. Lila, hesitantly, said she envied my confidence. The warmth was fleeting, though, as we reached the frustration cards. Dad's card about me. It frustrates me that Claire turns every conversation into a debate she has to win. Sophie's. Claire always has to fix things, even when we don't want solutions. Lila's. Claire never just listens, she's always improving us, like we're not enough. The pattern was clear. I wasn't just driven, I was relentless, a steamroller, flattening their voices. But they weren't blameless. My card about Mom. It frustrates me that you control information, telling us different stories to avoid conflict. Dad's avoidance, Sophie's passive aggressiveness, Lila's emotional outbursts. They all fed the dynamic that led to my exclusion. Then came the secrets. Lila went first, her voice trembling. I've always felt like a knockoff version of you, Claire. When I chose design, Dad asked if I'd ever get a real job. When you picked tech, everyone cheered. I wanted one day, just one, where I wasn't measured against you. Dad admitted he'd felt intellectually inferior since I corrected his facts in high school. It's like I'm afraid to speak sometimes, he said, eyes down. Mom confessed she hid family issues from me because my solutions, while brilliant, ignored their feelings. Sophie revealed she'd changed majors to find a space free of my influence. My turn came, and I took a deep breath. I've always felt like the family workhorse, valued for what I do, fixing, achieving, exposing fraud, not for who I am. Finding out you created a secret life without me and lied to keep me away. It's like I'm not part of this family anymore. Tears spilled, mine and theirs. Mom reached for my hand, and this time I let her hold it. We love you, Claire, she said. Love isn't enough, I replied, voice cracking. Not if you have to lie to protect yourselves from me. The room was heavy with truth, but before we could process, my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. You're not safe. Check the backyard. My heart stopped. I stood motioning for everyone to stay put and peered through the kitchen window. 2 masked figures stood near the oak tree, one holding a glinting object. A knife? A gun? I grabbed Dad's arm. Call 911 now. He fumbled for his phone as I locked the back door, my whistleblower instincts kicking in. Everyone upstairs, stay quiet, I whispered. As we moved, a crash echoed, glass shattering downstairs. The figures had broken in. We huddled in Mom and Dad's bedroom, the door barricaded with a dresser. My phone showed a new alert. My apartment's security system was offline, completely wiped. Nexus Tech's operatives weren't just threatening, they were invading, tying my family's betrayal to their vendetta. Sirens wailed in the distance, and Dad's shout from the window, "Get out of my house!" sent the intruders scrambling. They left a USB drive on the kitchen counter, labeled Donovan's Secrets. I didn't touch it, knowing it could be a trap malware, or worse, evidence to frame me. When the police arrived, they found no trace of the intruders, but the USB held hacked Nexus Tech files, including internal memos about neutralizing me. The officer's face hardened. Ms. Donovan, you need protection. This is bigger than a break-in. The police left, promising to analyze the USB, but the intervention couldn't wait. Back at the kitchen table, we resumed, shaken but determined. We practiced active listening, repeating each other's words without defending. Lila said, I feel small when you talk about your case, like my engagement is trivial. I repeated, you feel small, like your moment doesn't matter. She nodded, tears falling. I shared, I feel betrayed, like I'm only valued for what I can fix. Mom echoed, you feel used, not loved for you. The exercise cracked open years of unspoken resentment. We mapped our roles, me as the relentless fixer, Mom as the peacekeeper, Dad as the avoider. Sophie as the mediator, Lila as the free spirit who lashed out when unheard, Ethan as the distant diplomat. Speaking from the shadows exercise was the hardest. Leela admitted she'd considered eloping to avoid my planning. Dad confessed he'd stopped sharing ideas, fearing my corrections. Mom revealed she'd lied about small things, like Ethan's internship struggles, to keep me from solving them. I shared my deepest fear. I'm afraid I'm only loved when I'm useful. If I stop achieving, will you still want me? The silence was deafening, but Mom's hand tightened on mine. We want you, Claire. Always. Lila's voice was small. I'm sorry we made you feel otherwise. Excluding you was wrong. My phone buzzed again. Rachel, my lawyer. Nexus Tech's offering a settlement, she said. Retract your testimony or they'll sue for $50 million, 0 cents, and leak dirt on your family. My blood ran cold. What dirt? I asked. She hesitated. They claim they have proof someone in your family sold you out. Texts, emails, maybe more. I looked at Mom, Dad, Leela, Sophie, their faces a mix of guilt and fear. Was it one of you? I asked, voice low. They shook their heads, but Lila's eyes flickered, a split-second tell. I didn't push. Not yet. The pressure was crushing. Fight Nexus Tech and risk ruin, or retract and betray my principles, all while suspecting a traitor in my family. We moved to the final exercise, contracts for change. I wrote, I'll listen without fixing unless asked, and I'll ask before offering advice. Lila pledged, I'll speak up directly, not exclude or resent in silence. Mom committed to transparency, Dad to facing conflict, Sophie to asking for what she needs. We signed, a fragile pact sealed with tears and pizza ordered for dinner, a nod to normalcy after chaos. As we ate in the living room, the tension eased, laughter creeping in. Lila showed me her engagement ring, and I just admired it, no suggestions. Mom shared a new recipe tweak, and I nodded, no critiques. Small steps, but real. 3 months later, I stood in our backyard, string lights glowing over Lila's rescheduled engagement party. The invitation had come via our new family chat, no secrets this time. I gave Lila a sketchbook, inscribed, For your dreams as they are, love, C. She hugged me, no stiffness. Mom offered a bruschetta recipe she'd tweaked, and I smiled, tasting it without comment. Dad admitted my whistleblower courage had inspired him to take a public speaking class, healing a wound I hadn't known existed. Sophie asked my opinion on a grad school program, and I listened, offering only what she wanted. Lila raised a glass, toasting new beginnings, and to Claire for forcing us to see each other. I blinked back tears, the family I'd nearly lost now stronger, messier, but honest. As we cleaned up, Lila joined me on the porch swing. Remember when we'd watch stars here? She asked. You'd explain constellations, make the sky less scary. I winced. Was I insufferable even then? She laughed. No, it was a gift. I just didn't know how to tell you when it wasn't. We swung in silence, the night alive with crickets. Do you think we'll slip back? She asked. Maybe, I said, but we have tools now, and love to keep us honest. The USB drive, still with the police, loomed in my mind. Who had leaked the tabloid story? Was Lila's flicker of guilt a clue? And what dirt did Nexus Tech have? The questions hung, unanswered, but for now I chose family over fear. We weren't perfect, but we were real, and that was the greatest victory of all. What secrets have torn your family apart? How did you rebuild? Share below, like and subscribe for more stories of betrayal turned into triumph.